What's going on, family? It's your girl Amber J, and I am back with another episode of the Dear World Podcast. We are going to bypass the fact that over a month ago I said I was bringing the podcast back, and I am just not making the episode today, okay? But we here. How y'all doing? What's the vibe? What's the mood? What's the energy? Have you been drinking your water and minding your business? Matter of fact, I need a little swig of water right now. Consider that your commercial break. I hope that you went to go get a snack or something. Quick life update before we get into today's topic. In the last episode, I told y'all that I resigned from my job of 4 years, no backup plan, no money saved, no nothing. I am now employed full time. Unfortunately, it's a contract position, so there's no PTO. So anytime I need to take off is unpaid. So I won't be having a lot of days where I say prepare to others, okay? All of my benefits come out of my own pocket. And let me say this, America, why is health insurance so expensive? An individual insurance policy, and I'm talking about just health insurance, not dental, not vision, just health insurance, is $300 plus. $300 plus. And I don't even mean 300. I think the lowest I saw was like 350, maybe 360, somewhere around there and up. That's crazy. That's crazy. And then you don't even get a lot of things with that policy. That's the bare minimum. If you want all the bells and whistles, you looking at $400 something plus. Do better, America. Do better. Because healthcare is not affordable whatsoever. And I can see why so many individuals don't have healthcare. Crazy. Outside of that, it is officially 30 days that I have been at the job. It's going well. The people are cool. The atmosphere is nice. I will say I don't care for the fact that I don't have my own office anymore. Sometimes I just get overstimulated because I share a space with like 5 other people. It might be 6 on a good day. And it's just so many conversations happening at one time. Everybody got something different going on. And I be overstimulated sometimes. You know, that tism be acting up. But we make it work. It is a further commute, but I'm dealing with it. I hope my baby can just keep getting me to and from safely without no problems. I'm not looking forward to when school starts back up because that changes the traffic patterns, and I don't understand why traffic gets so much more congested when kids are in school. And this is just my opinion. I am not a urban planner by any means. But unless there is an accident on the freeway, I don't understand traffic jams. It's enough road to keep a constant flow. So I don't get it, but you know, whatever. What else? I'm trying to get myself out of debt, and I'm so thankful that God sustained me while I wasn't working, but I was literally using my credit card to pay a lot of my bills. I should say credit cards with an S. So I have put myself into a rather large hole of debt. It ain't that bad, but it is a little steep. So we working on that, y'all. I got to figure out how to monetize this podcast or sell some books before I have to sell some ass. No, I'm just playing. But no, for real, I'm really trying to get out of debt. I have been considering taking on a second job, but at 35, about to be 36, that's not something I want to be doing. That was something, you know, in my early 20s, I didn't mind, even early 30s, but I'm half a 60 at this point, almost half a 70, and I don't want to do that. I just don't want to do that. But if I have to, obviously I will. I have been making resin projects. Let me show you some of the things I made. These can be paperweights. I use them to hold my earrings. I'm trying to get my earrings off my desk. Ooh, that's making too much noise. But I just put them in there like that. You also can put water bottles on them. You know how water bottles, when they close, sometimes they have condensation. You can set the water bottle on there. You can use it for paper clips, all type of things. But I have learned how to make these. I've made earrings. I have made keychains. I want to start making magnets, poppets, just other little knickknacks and jars and things like that. Making resin is really fun. I'm a beginner, but I'm gonna keep practicing so that I can be advanced. That's something that I was doing with my mom. I think I told y'all that also while I wasn't working. I worked on a house with my dad. And let me tell you, when I asked God for patience, I didn't think that was going to be one of the scenarios that he put me in. And working with my daddy definitely helped me gain a little bit more patience. Because you got to be patient with the elders, okay? What else? I am trying to figure out what I want to do for my 36th birthday. And I know I just said that I'm trying to get myself out of debt, but I really want to celebrate my birthday in a grown and sexy way. When I turned 35 last year, I wanted to send myself to Jamaica, but I ended up talking myself out of it. And I really wish I hadn't. So this year I'm trying to think what I can do. Jamaica probably is definitely off the table. Now, had I planned better for it and did like the Delta Vacations route where you can pay as you go over the months leading up to the trip, I would have been set. But I didn't do that. So I'm thinking, you know, like a little quick trip to Vegas or something a little closer. I'm still thinking about it. I got a couple months to figure it out. Even if I sent myself on a staycation in Michigan, I would be okay with that. But I really want to be out of town and just really give myself the birthday experience that I'm looking for, because I realize I always look for other people to do that and they kind of be dropping the ball. I can't even say dropping the ball. It doesn't meet the expectations that I'm looking for. And that sounds bad because I'm thankful for anything that anybody does for me, but I'm just looking for a certain for my birthday. And I got to give it to myself. Somebody told me that a long time ago. It's not anybody else's responsibility to make sure that your birthday is celebrated in the way that you want to celebrate it. It's not anybody else's responsibility to make sure you have a good time. So this year I want to make sure that I give myself the birthday extravaganza experience that I want. Outside of that, nothing too much. You know, I really just work and come home. Oh, that's something that I wanted to say too. Because the job makes you clock out for lunch, it's actually been making me take my lunch breaks. Like, I have taken a lunch break every day that I've been there because I'm not getting paid for it. So I'm definitely not about to work through it. Absolutely not. I typically go to my car and read or do Bible study or just scroll through social media. Sometimes I bend a few corners to go find me something to eat. But yeah. So let's dive into today's topic. Oh, my bad. One more thing. I do want to tell y'all this. I can understand if you want to quit a job, if you just are fed the fuck up and you got to get out there. But take it from me, and I'm not discouraging anybody. Your decision will be your decision. But if you are going to quit a job, try to plan for it to the best of your ability. If you don't have a job lined up or if you don't have money saved, try to figure out a plan for yourself. And again, that's just coming from me after putting myself into credit card debt. But do what you want. And I would never discourage anybody from quitting a job that is weighing on their mental health or their physical health. But also no, baby, if you quit a job 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna say 10 times out of 10, unless you can prove that it was impeding on your health, you not finna get that unemployment. They blocked me, and then they blocked me for an additional, I think, 6 weeks or something, which I was like, okay, petty bitch. Y'all could have just told me no and kept it pushing. But that's my little TED talk. Anywho, today I want to talk about healing. And I know I have talked about healing before, but I don't think I have talked about it in this capacity. And I'm so proud of myself, y'all. I got my little notes in front of me and everything that I want to say. So let's get into it. So I think healing has been made to look pretty, especially on social media. People love to show their highlight reels, how they journaling, and they just make it a true aesthetic, soft music, solo dates, gym selfies, boundaries, quotes about choosing yourself and loving yourself. And not that any of that is bad, but healing is so much deeper than that. Being real, sometimes healing is just sitting with the ugly truth. And sometimes the ugly truth is not something that you want to post. Again, people love to show their highlight reels. They love to show on the other side of it of how things are going well and how successful they are and all of this other stuff, but they don't show the work that they had to go through to get to that point. And I respect it. I ain't knocking nobody, but I think we need to have more realistic conversations about what healing actually looks like instead of attaching it to an aesthetic. So sometimes it's realizing you were not just hurt, but you were also shaped by what happened, and how you have to decide whether you are going to keep letting that pain make choices for you. Because let's be honest, sometimes some of us let our pain or our hurt make decisions for us. It controls how we treat other people. It controls how we move through the world, all of it. Some of us don't need another quote about healing. Some of us don't need more soft life aesthetics. Sometimes we just need to stop decorating our wounds and deal with them. I think that is the true epitome of healing, is facing it. You got to go through it to get through it. And I have been saying that for so long. You got to go through it to get through it. And I am talking to myself when I say that. I am back in therapy. Shout out to my Black girl therapist. But I am learning to unpack a lot of the baggage that I have been carrying. And not just baggage from the last 5 or so years. I'm talking about baggage from childhood. I am learning to face things and truly heal. And I think healing is an ongoing thing. I don't just be like, poof, I'm healed and we're going to keep it pushing. I think you constantly have to work on your healing because we all have triggers. We all can be reminded of our past and the things that hurt us, etc. So it's a constant effort. Honesty, I think, is the part that makes healing uncomfortable. I want to ask y'all some questions. You don't have to answer them, but I'm just going to throw them out there. What did I know but ignore? What am I still calling love because I'm afraid to call it attachment? Where have I been asking God to fix something that I keep choosing? Who am I blaming because it's easier than grieving the decision I made? And what version of me keeps showing up when I feel rejected, unseen, or afraid? Now, that is one question that I truly had to let marinate, because I'm like, woo, I know certain versions of me continue to show up when I feel rejected or when I feel unseen or when I feel afraid. For example, I was at work today, and I'm the person that when you sneeze, I'm always saying, bless you. I try to be very nurturing and very courteous. But then I notice sometimes when I sneeze, people don't say bless you. Or sometimes when I say bless you, people don't say thank you. And I sat in that for a minute and I was like, I'm not going to let the old me show up by this feeling of rejection or feeling of being unseen, because I tend to retort or I get angry in those moments. And I was like, you know what? It's cool. Bless myself. Okay. Or it doesn't matter if they said thank you because I said bless you. That's what I know to do. And it is what it is. Keep it pushing. So I think that those are really good questions to ask yourself just in general about things that you might be hurting from or things that you are trying to heal from. So write those questions down and literally take time to answer them and explore different avenues of your life as they pertain to those questions. Healing gets real quiet when the question changes from who hurt me to what did that hurt teach me to tolerate. And this is something that I learned through the process of relationships. I realized that I used to spend a lot of time talking about how people hurt me and what they did to me, but I didn't spend enough time thinking about what that taught me to tolerate. I have tolerated so much in relationships. I have tolerated so much from jobs. I have tolerated so much in life because that's what hurt taught me to do. And that's heavy. And that's even a bigger question to ask yourself. So I'll say it again. What did that hurt teach me to tolerate? So think about things that have hurt you in your life, whether it's in your past or in the present moment. What has that hurt taught you to tolerate? What are some current things that you tolerate now in a relationship or at a job or in your personal life in general? I really want y'all to think about that. And then sometimes we dress avoidance up like it's peace. A lot of people like to say, I'm protecting my peace. I'm just done. I don't care anymore. I'm over it. I've moved on, without actually moving on or without actually taking time to heal from whatever it was. Those are just filler sentences. And I know personally, I have said a lot of times, I'm just done. Or I don't care no more. I'm over it. And I know damn well I be lying. I will say it out loud because I'm trying to convince myself that that's how I actually feel. But I know damn well on the inside, girl, you not over that shit. You still mad. It still hurt. You still thinking about it. So I had to learn to stop dressing up my peace and just literally, let me rephrase that. I had to learn how to stop trying to dress avoidance up like it was peace. Sometimes you just gotta face the music, and it's okay, friend. It's uncomfortable, but that's something that we have to do. Sometimes we just move around the truth, and say that we're moving on. Not every situation needs a conversation, but I think every wound needs honesty. And even if honesty only happens between you and God, it needs to happen. Even if the other person never apologizes, even if you don't know the why, even if nobody validates your experience, a conversation needs to happen. And through my healing journey, God has been my greatest outlet, or the pages of my journal. Sometimes I would just jot down stuff and I process it that way. But I always try to run things through God and just have a conversation about it, because I need to face things honestly. I need to admit that hurt me. I need to admit that person is not going to apologize, and that's okay. But this, and this still happened. Or even sometimes I think we look for people to validate our experience and say, yeah, girl, or man, that was fucked up and they shouldn't have did that, or I'm sorry that happened, whoop de whoop 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 whoop. But sometimes you're not gonna get that validation, but you still need to have that conversation for yourself. And again, even if it's just between you and God, you and the pages of your journal. Hell, sometimes I sit and talk to the damn dog. I be like, dog, this happened and I feel this way. And I know it's not a person listening to me. I know I'm not going to get a response, but it's still me having a conversation about the situation. And I know that sounded weird when I said I tell it to the damn dog, but I'm going to need y'all not to sit up and act like you don't have full-blown conversations with your pets, okay? Because sometimes I will argue with a dog. I'm just saying. And my bad, let me stay focused. Sometimes we call it peace because avoidance, it just, it doesn't sound good. It's not a term that you want to say to yourself, like, yep, I'm avoiding that, but I'm choosing to call it peace. No, you just gonna call it peace and keep it pushing. But realistically, a lot of us spend time avoiding things and calling it peace. So let's talk about accountability. And let me say this, accountability is not self-blame. It's important to understand that accountability does not mean what happened to you is your fault. It does not mean that you deserve the betrayal, the mistreatment, the neglect, the manipulation, the disappointment, or whatever it was. It means you are brave enough to look at what you have control over now, or it is, I can acknowledge I was hurt without making the hurt my whole identity. I can admit I stayed too long without excusing what they did. I can own my healing without owning anybody else's behavior. And that's something that I truly struggled with in the past. I would spend a lot of time owning other people's behavior. Oh, I did something to make them do that to me. You can't control what somebody does to you. Everybody is in control of their own actions. Every action has a reaction. I was listening to something and it was talking about how we have free speech. But free speech is also associated with consequences. For example, if you call a school and say, hey, I'm finna blow the school up, it's consequences attached to that. Yes, it is your right to say that freely, but it's also some consequences attached to that. So I think when we are talking about accountability, we got to know we can't own somebody else's mistake. We can't take the blame for what other people did to us. And I used to beat myself down, especially when it came to men. If I was thinner, maybe they wouldn't treat me that way. Or if I hadn't done X, Y, and Z, maybe they wouldn't have done this to me. Or if I would have done this better or differently, maybe I would have been a better mate. Whatever, you know what I'm saying? I would just make things up in my head to try to take ownership of their behavior. And then I know I have spent a lot of time staying in situations too long. I probably have spent in most relationships that I have been in, I have stayed too long. And then tried to excuse what the person did. Oh, it was because I had an attitude that day. Or it was because I asked too many questions. Or it was because I was carrying too much baggage from a previous relationship and they just got tired of it, so they cheated on me. Or it was because I treated them this way, so that was their, recourse to that. So again, you can't take ownership of other people's behavior, and you can't keep making excuses for what people have done. You got to take accountability for you, and you got to hold other people accountable for their own actions. Accountability is not taking the blame for what broke you. It is simply taking responsibility for not letting it ruin your life. So, using myself as an example, I have been in a lot of toxic relationships. I'm not even sure I can fully say I know what a healthy relationship looks like, because even though I'm in a relationship right now, the more I think about it, I can't say 100% that it is a healthy relationship, right? But I'm in a space that I can take accountability for my actions and not constantly, letting it run my life. Even being in toxic relationships in the past, I had to learn how to break that cycle. I had to learn how to leave certain people alone. I remember it was before I moved out of my old apartment. One of my old flames had popped back up. This is somebody that I had been messing with off and on since high school. Since high school. The nigga couldn't get it together in high school. He couldn't get it together in our 20s. And he couldn't get it together in our 30s. But yet I continue to allow this man in my space. I continue to allow him to waste my time. And something just clicked in me. And I said, girl, you have to take responsibility, because you keep opening the door for this nigga to come back. You keep allowing his toxicity to come into your life, and then it makes you feel bad about yourself because you basically let him enter and exit as he pleases. I had to take accountability for that, and I had to make a decision in that moment that I was no longer going to do that with anybody. And I get it, people change. So if a person spun the block and truly showed me that they were a different person, maybe we could have a conversation. But for the most part, when people show you who they are, believe them. And you got to stop letting people continuously do the same shit over and over and over and over and over, because eventually that does start to run your life, and you start to think a certain way and move a certain way because you've been dealing with the same thing for so long. So we got to take accountability for our actions. We have to take accountability for the hurt that we inflict upon ourselves. And I say that as someone who formerly has done all of those things, okay? Now, let's talk about faith. God can heal us from anything, and I'm a firm believer of that. I'm a firm believer in faith, but we got to stop hiding. How you gonna heal, or how is God going to heal you if you're hiding what hurt you? It's no reason to be ashamed that you got hurt. It's no reason to be ashamed that you were in this repeat cycle, or whatever the case may be. Stop hiding. God is not asking for the version of you that sounds strong, that sounds aesthetically pleasing, that's dressed up with a ribbon. He can work with the honest version of you. He can work with the version of you that reveals every part of yourself to him. And that's something I think being in my 30s honestly taught me that. Need another water break. Hold on. I can 100% say, especially within the last 3 years, I would say, I learned to stop trying to hide my hurt from God. Because God is the one person you can be your 100% full self with. The angry person, the embarrassed one, the embarrassed one, I feel like I pronounced that word wrong. The one who went back again and again and again. The one who knew better. The one who is tired of pretending they're okay. Give it to God. I promise you, it will feel like a weight has been lifted. And it can be in small ways, just talking to him throughout your day. My favorite place to talk to God is in the shower. And I just come to him, Father God, blah, 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 blah. I also like to journal a lot. I'm talking to God. It can say, Father God or Jesus or God, just acknowledging that's who you're talking to. Because I think that's a big part of allowing God to heal you, is acknowledging his presence in your life. And give all of you to God, not just bits and pieces or certain, spaces of you. Give all of yourself to God. God is not intimidated by the truth. There is nothing that you can tell God that he hasn't already heard before. There is nothing in your life that you can tell God that he doesn't already know about. But I think it's about you bringing it to God's foot, and not just, he already knows about it, so I don't have to acknowledge it. No, stop hiding. Don't be afraid to say your truth out loud to God. If you don't take anything else that I have said in this episode, please take that away. Now healing, I think, starts when we stop negotiating with the truth. You don't need to fix everything in one day. You do not need to understand everything in one specific season or within a year's time. And sometimes we are never going to understand certain things. I think that was one of the biggest takeaways for me in my healing journey, is to stop trying to know the why and to stop trying to understand the why. You're not always going to know why. You're not always going to know why that person cheated on you. You're not always going to know why that person broke up with you. You're not always going to know why that person flipped you off and said F you in the grocery store line. Some things you're just not going to know, and you got to be okay with that. And I think some things get revealed to you gradually over time, and you got to be okay with that. Healing is not a rat race. It's not about rushing to the finish line. Again, it's something that is continuous. It's an ongoing process. And then you don't have to have the perfect words. I think sometimes we harp on trying to be perfect and saying things in a perfect way and doing everything in a perfect way, but you do not have to be perfect. And then I would say, stop lying to yourself. Just like how I said, you got to be honest with God. You got to be honest with yourself. You have to be willing to acknowledge what hurt you, how it hurt you. And again, going back to the accountability piece, what part did you take in that hurt? I promise you, it's okay. The truth may hurt, but pretending that you're okay or pretending like something didn't hurt you is not going to change anything. Maybe healing is not always about becoming a brand new person. Maybe sometimes healing is finally being honest with the person you already are. Honest about what hurt you. Honest about what changed you. Honest about what you missed, because sometimes we miss the very things that hurt us. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. Sometimes there are certain people from my past that I missed, and them people hurt me to my core. But sometimes I just missed them because we were so locked in, or maybe it was their personality or their sense of humor or just the conversations that we had. So I think it's important to be honest about the things or the people that you miss. Honest about what you keep reaching for. So sometimes we continue to reach for the same things that hurt us because that's what's familiar to us. It's okay. Be honest about it. Honest about what you are scared to release. Sometimes there are certain people or certain places or certain situations that we are scared to release for a plethora of different reasons, but we got to be honest about that. And honest enough to say that sometimes we get stuck operating in survival. And I think that's a big part of just breaking free and truly embracing your healing journey. So I think that a lot of people want to heal, but a lot of people don't want to walk honestly in their healing journey. But honesty is not your enemy. And sometimes honesty is truly the beginning of your freedom. All right. Y'all catching my drift? So let me say this. You cannot keep trying to rename what hurt you without being honest about what hurt you. Some of us are not confused. We are just uncomfortable with what the truth might require from us. And that's okay. Avoidance can sometimes feel like peace, but you have to be able to confront those thoughts. Hey, I am avoiding this because X, Y, and Z. You gotta confront yourself. You know how you confront other people, why you didn't text me back, or why did you say that, or why did you do this? You got to do the same with yourself. You can't be afraid to confront yourself. You can't be afraid to confront your feelings. And I know it's scary, and I can't tell you what not to do, but this your journey, and it's literally between you, yourself, and I. So it's okay. It is okay. Healing is not just protecting your peace. Sometimes you have to admit what disrupted your peace to begin with. The truth does not always feel good, but denial will never set you free. And you can forgive somebody and still be honest about what it cost you. You can forgive somebody and be honest about how it hurt you. You can forgive somebody and be honest about what you lost in that process. Sometimes a breakthrough is not a new answer, but it's admitting the old one. Sometimes we are always looking for something different, a refresh, a restart, just something fresh. But realistically, we already got the answer. We know what to do. We just, again, got to be honest and admit that. I hope that this episode resonated with y'all. I hope that you took something away. I would love to have individuals on the podcast so they can talk about their healing journey or what healing means to them, things that you have been through that you are still healing from. I would love to hear different stories about what you are working to heal from. Let's cultivate conversations. I told y'all I want to do more interviews. I want the audience to be more involved. So if you are interested on being on an episode of the Dear World podcast, please do not hesitate to reach out to me on any of my social media platforms. You can also email me at Child, let me look up the correct email because I don't want to give it to y'all wrong. And I should already have that prepared. My bad. It is dearworld.amberj@gmail.com or dearworldthepodcast@gmail.com. Honestly, you better off at dearworld.amberj@gmail.com. So again, if you are interested in being on the podcast, hit me up. I'm on Threads. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. Drop me a quick message. If I don't respond, I will eventually respond because sometimes I don't respond because people be talking blickety blam and I don't got time for that. But if you are serious, please make sure you reach out to me. And like I said, you can email me, dearworld.amberj@gmail.com. And until next time, you know what to do. Drink your water.